Hey guys, Joshua Peterson here with Peterson Electric. I want to talk to you today about a garage heater. I'm getting a lot of calls about them. We are in northern Colorado and want to talk to you about what the install kind of looks like. This is an infrared heater. I've never done one of these, first time for residential. It is a 3,000 kilowatt. So dividing that out by 240 volts, you're about 12 and a half, 13 amps. Make sure you multiply that by 1.25% for continuous duty. Bottom line, you're probably going to need a 12 gauge wire, and that is going to be a 2-pole circuit. This box did say it was rated only at 240 volt, 220. It's a nominal voltage, so it does not say it's good for 110. I looked out in this situation of this garage, and I found a circuit right down here sitting, and it had a blank on it. And then I went in here to the panel, and it said SPER. I don't think the last electrician could spell better than I could, of course. But it should have said spare. But bottom line, I changed out the single pole 20 amp breaker, and I took off the neutral, rephased it as a red, because you have to identify your white as a black, as a red if you're going to use it as a hot. And I put a 2-pole breaker here and labeled it garage heater. I lucked out because that was running right down that way, and we thought we had to cut through the drywall. This is upstairs. You can see kind of here, this is a bedroom, loft, kitchenette, and then out here in the garage is a 2-car oversized garage. We originally wanted the heater, if you can see it, way over there by that sink so our plumbing doesn't freeze, or this stack here, your black waste coming down. But we didn't want it over the fridge because the windows, plus the fact that the refrigerator would heat up if the heater was running. But that would have been an ideal location, but they did not want me to pipe it, though I bend a nice piece of conduit all the way around. They didn't want that. So we had to go with this. I did put a disconnect right down here so you can see this. You are supposed to have a disconnect within sight. Some inspectors say this is a disconnect. I say it's not. Because if the panel's far away and somebody hits that breaker, it is a 2-pole, 240 volts on that. So I would suggest to have a disconnect nearby, whether it's here, or up there before the unit or after here. Personally, I like to service it on the line side of the thermostat because these go bad probably more often than the heater. Anyways, this is a 2-pole circuit. And this is a 2-pole disconnect switch that I use on hot water heaters, rated up to 20 amps. This unit right here is rated up to 5,280 watts, so I could still do a 5,000 kilowatt unit. I probably wouldn't go above 4,500. But that right there can do that as well. That's 3,000 rated up to this. And then this right here is an infrared heater. I really like this unit. Be careful when you take it out of the box and you assume that it's connected, because the leads were hitting here, and if you went to test that, you would have blown it up. I tested everything as I built it, as I came along, and then I made sure those leads were on, put in my bulb, and then covered it. You probably don't want to get your oil in your hands on that infrared heater itself. It does tilt. I did put my thermal gun on this, and I was reading up to 350 degrees. So it seems to keep the heat really well away from the drywall. And there's a shield right here also, by the way, that you can put on that to protect that lens, that bulb. And then up here, I've been testing it for the last hour. I really feel that I'm going to be good on that drywall. The only warm spot I'm getting just a little bit is right there. But if I put my thermal gun on that, that's at about 80 degrees. And the rest of the walls are at about 57 degrees. So we're starting to warm up. Well, we did put a thermostat in because it didn't come with one. And the other thing I wanted to say is I love these boxes. These are a sliding box. They're like a hybrid. They're cut in, but yet they're kind of like a nail on, and they're inside screwed. So once you find your stud and line it out and put it in, you can screw that in. What I also like about it is you can knock out the 1/2-inch hole and then put an MC cable. So I wired this in MC cable. They did have Romex going to the box, but from there on out I put MC. Now if that was a 2x4 wall, I couldn't have done that unless I used a metal cut-in box. But I did put this in and through the back and drilled my own holes, locked it with a lock nut, and I went ahead and used some simple 3/8 MC 1-hole straps. Make sure you get your red bushings inside of there, and you cut it with your Roto-Zip. If you don't know what any of those tools are, do not touch this. Please call a professional. But this is kind of how I chose to do that. But again, a disconnect killing the thermostat going up here. And you can see this right up here. Here's how I junctioned it with another box I cut in. And then I did a piece of MC cable right out to the back, and I made sure I had my bushings in there because it is 240. You don't want to short it. Anyways, guys, thanks for joining us. I hope that helps you out. But again, if you're going to do any kind of heaters in the garage, when you pass the 5,000 kilowatt, you're automatically going to be past your 30 amp rated 10 gauge wire. So if you start getting into 4,005, 6, 8, 10 kW, you might as well just put in a 6 gauge, 6.3 Romex cable, and that should work for you. Thanks, bye.